Hello and welcome back for another episode of Patriotic Housewife. I am so glad to be here again today with you guys. Today, I kind of want to go over yesterday Candace Owens podcast that she dropped, just play a couple clips. But the first one that I want to show you guys, and if you don't follow him, you guys should, is Jesse on Fire. I have been following him throughout the entire investigation of Charlie Kirk, and he shares a piece of video footage of, I believe it was some kind of parking attendant where for the hospital where Charlie Kirk was taken, and he's giving a walkthrough of where Mike McCoy parked the vehicle and what went on in that parking lot that day that he saw. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump right into that clip. You guys, like I said, Jesse on Fire, if you don't follow him, you should follow him. He's got some good information out there. Again, make sure to like and subscribe. It is free. It helps my channel. I appreciate all you guys tuning in, and let me know in the comments what you guys think of the episode. And let's just jump into it right now. Okay, so this is the Jesse on Fire clip that he released going over what that parking attendant had seen, and let's get into it.
Loud, but I am still having a hard time with the behavior of the people around it, to the point where I'm like, did Charlie just pull off like the ultimate, like...
My honest review on this natural remedies book after having it for a month. Look at this blood sugar page. It got this simple smoothie, coconut...
Like, did he fake it? Like, is this fake? Because the guy at the hospital says he saw someone get out of one of the SUVs, get into an SUV being driven by Mike McCoy, and then shoot off down the road. Okay? Yes, I realize this is coming the day after I am basically just openly being like, yeah, I think Lance did it. You know, I do think Lance did it. And you're also entertaining that Charlie might be alive. I don't know what to make of any of this. Okay? I'm looking at a bunch of inhuman emotional reactions to things, and simultaneously I'm looking at a stupid story with a bunch of, radical trans people who look like they're also guilty. I don't know what is going on. Okay? So don't break my balls. But we're going to get right into that right now. All right, so we're going to start right there. So this is Project Constitution. You can't see there you go. Project Constitution. Okay, buddy of mine, he shares my content all the time. And I wanted to show you, this is a clip of a witness who saw the aftermath at the actual hospital, and we're going to look at it right now, and I'll tell you where I think this is weird. Also, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I don't know where I got of people incentivized by non-objective behavior. So let's watch this. I'm going to skip to
So I'm going to pause real quick. The reason he is saying certain things, guys, is because it goes back to exactly what I was saying about there are people out there who do not believe that Charlie Kirk is deceased. And the reason they believe that is because of the lack of commentary, the lack of emotion, the ability that everyone has around him, from tpusa, Erica Kirk, et cetera, et cetera. Everyone is just so calm and emotionless and just like, oh, Charlie would want this, or Charlie would be happy. So this is why people are even entertaining the fact that he could possibly have faked his own death. I do not believe that because of the decorticate posturing and so many other things. I also, like I said in my previous episodes, Charlie was against lying. Charlie did not like lying. When people suggest, oh, well, we could just lie about this, he stated, even if it looks bad, even if we mess up and, it could really hurt us, one thing we will not do is lie. So I personally am not buying that he faked his death. But because of the lack of emotion and just the weirdness of how everyone's behaving, JD Vance, et cetera, this is why people are entertaining this. And this is why he's doing this video. So let's jump back in.
the part that actually matters.
So they head north, the first one. And they pull in right over here where it says ambulance. Right here. Then they go around over here to the front where it says surgery. then I was parked right here.
Okay, so this guy is like he's a parking enforcement person. That's why he's there. I'm gonna fast forward you to where, okay, so he comes back around here and he's saying that there was another SUV that came in that, well, I'm sure you'll hear him say it, but he's saying Mike McCoy was driving it.
The other SUV comes right here, passes me, looks just like Mikey McCoy. I know what Mikey McCoy now looks like. That's why I put 2 and 2 together. And then they go this way. The SUV goes this way. That SUV was down there by the physician's parking where you can't go in. And it parked right to the side of that building. And then that's when someone came out and got in. Then they left right here, pull out, then they head south to 800 North.
So my question is just like, think about that situation, right? Charlie gets shot, okay? They pick him up, whatever. Somehow they get him into the car. They drive to the hospital. Mike McCoy is driving another SUV, and when he gets to the hospital, someone jumps into his SUV, and they drive away. Somebody come up with a scenario where that makes sense, okay? Because there's only one that I can think of, and it would be that it was Charlie who jumped into the car. I mean, I'm not saying that that's actually...
Okay, guys, so that is why, like he said, he is even entertaining this entire situation, is because it would make 0 sense for Mikey McCoy to pick someone up and then leave. Like I said, I don't believe this, but I do understand why people are questioning it, because like I said, just lack of emotion, and it would explain so much of the odd behavior coming from so many people that were close to Charlie, right? So it's just one of those things where I think through this, you have to ask these questions. It's just so odd. So now we're going to jump into Candace Owens yesterday, her episode talking about, everyone is just like totally crashing out. And the more questions that are being asked, people like Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, they are losing their minds. They are just acting so absurd and crazy. And you have to ask yourself why. But in the beginning of this, she is going to talk about the hospital. So let's listen to that.
That the feds immediately seized the footage at Timpanogos Hospital. Okay, Timpanogos Hospital. Remember, this is the hospital that it was quite strange that they moved to take Charlie to, because it was further and also less equipped than UV Hospital. Like, it was like UV was a trauma 1 and Timpanogos was trauma 3. And a bunch of people said very strange that they took him here. And then it got strange because we started hearing from other people that he was definitely at UV Hospital. It was very weird. Anyways, I would like to add to that by saying that on the day that Charlie was shot, for whatever reason, Kash Patel injects himself into it, the feds seized all of the footage at the hospital that Charlie was brought to at Timpanogos. That doesn't make sense to me. Nothing makes sense to me in this whole story. So this is just kind of the icing on, on the top here. Not even the icing on the top, but why would they move to seize that footage? How is that going to help their investigation? What's happening inside of Timpanogos? How is that going to help their investigation, their immediate boots on the ground investigation into who shot Charlie Kirk? They're on a manhunt. Why are they going, okay, let's at first grab the footage at Timpanogos? Does that make sense? Were you worried? Did a nurse call 911 and say, oh, a guy just ran in here with a gun and you need to seize the footage because that's going to help you track him down? If that didn't happen, why are you seizing that footage? I don't know. With everything that is going on, and I would say almost the lack of information that we have at Timpanogos, not a single person who captured them pulling up, nothing, despite the fact that there were news cameras outside waiting, oddly, from like a New York news channel. We have not seen anything regarding that we can build in competently on our timeline that would let us know what time in particular Charlie arrived at the hospital. And I feel like something's amiss if the feds move to grab the footage inside of the hospital immediately and outside of the hospital immediately. So just putting it out there. If you maybe were somebody who has footage and saw that black SUV pull up at the hospital, please get that to us at moretips@candaceowens.com, because it's starting to bother me. Something there is starting to feel amiss. Everything's amiss.
Okay, guys. So the reason that I think that this is interesting is it is so true. Why do we not see footage from the hospital? You mean to tell me that there were people that were in the ER that did not realize what was going on, that they were bringing Charlie into the ER and the commotion and the chaos, or people that drove from UVU to the hospital to fit? I mean, it's not adding up. In all situations, typically when stuff like this happens, there are cameras everywhere, or someone will pull out their phone and say, "Oh my gosh, Charlie Kirk just pulled in the ER. He's been shot." Da 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 da. So I find it very interesting that nobody from the hospital is saying a thing about Charlie Kirk, obviously because of HEPA being there. But what I'm talking about more importantly is the people that were in the waiting room, or the people that were walking into the ER. Anybody who works in a hospital knows that like the ERs are busy majority of the time. So I just think it's interesting that why hasn't that been discussed? And there's so much conflicting information about which hospital he was taken to. A lot of people are saying that it was the was not the trauma center. So that's very interesting as well. I think Ian Carroll said they're only like a mile apart, but the one that they took him to, from what I gathered, was the one that does not treat the type of trauma that they would have needed to treat Charlie's injuries. So that's a whole nother thing. But she's correct of where is the footage. So it leads you to go to places. Like Jesse on Fire was saying, is the footage gone because Charlie walked off into the vehicle with Mike McCoy, and this was all just a huge production? Or is this a controlled situation again, but for more sinister reasons, and they don't want any of this video footage out there because then it conflicts with the story and the narrative that they want to shove down our throat, which is take what we've given you, shut up, don't use your brain, don't ask questions, move along. And it has to make you wonder that. So the lack of information, excuse me, guys, the lack of information is strange, and the feds need to stop getting mad at the general public for asking these questions, because it could be very simply put to bed if they just answer some questions. But the lack of information is not really helping anything. And there's no way you can convince me that sharing some of these details would compromise their investigation, because as I've said in previous videos, this kid, it's going to be very difficult to get him a fair trial. Find somebody who didn't watch this on social media, who does not know who Charlie Kirk is at this point, and who has not heard about it on this planet. Find one. We saw the memorials from country to country. I just don't know where they're going to find these people who have never heard of him. So let me know if I'm crazy. But I don't think I'm crazy. I think that it's just very interesting. And that parking lot attendant to say that Mikey McCoy, walked away and after a guy walked to the car with him is interesting. I would be more curious to find out what the person looked like that walked to the car with Mikey. Like, was it the stature of Charlie Kirk and matching hair? Could we even tell by then? Obviously Blake Neff doesn't look like Charlie Kirk. So if it was a guy with a bald head, then we know it wasn't Charlie Kirk, right? I also want to say, if this was orchestrated and he is still alive, don't you think they would find like an underground way to get him out of the hospital, or a more discreet way than him just flat out walking outside in the parking lot? Because at this point, remember guys, news channels already know what's going on. People are already, talking about this. The police are there. You have all this stuff going on the radios. You mean to tell me that that would have been the way that they would have got him out of there, was outside where there's plenty of people and cameras waiting? Because remember, Charlie Kirk just got assassinated or just got shot, and he was taken to this hospital. So I find that very interesting. So we'll see what comes of that. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Curious to see what you guys believe. How many people, I'll have to do a poll, like how many people actually believe he's alive, how many people believe he's dead. Like I said, I believe he's dead. Decorticate posturing, you would have to be a phenomenal actor to do that, in my opinion. But it would explain the weird behavior of everyone, because it would take an absolutely amazing actor to pretend that your husband is dead or your best friend is dead. So maybe that's what we're seeing, maybe not. We will see how this all unfolds. Be sure to follow, be sure to like the channel, subscribe. It's free. I appreciate all you guys being here, and I will see you in the next one.